Oakside Park is a great place to live, or even take on vacation. But what happens when you go on vacation with your family to Oakside Park, but only to discover that your own child has disappeared? For years, you desperately search for your child, resorting to plastering posters everywhere, which leads to nowhere and it gets worse by the day. Or what if you decide to visit a friend, only to find out that she is missing and that you need to find her? Or what if you investigate a missing persons case and discover something you weren't meant to see? This is Slender The Arrival. In 2012, a horror game was released that caught the attention of countless YouTubers over the years. Slender the 8 Pages earned a cult following and led to the creation of more games based on the premise of collecting 8 pages, titled Slenderman's Shadow, and another game that deserves more recognition, Slender Anxiety. Later in 2013, a sequel was announced, Slender The Arrival. This time, not only was the original creator involved, but so were the creators of Marble Hornets, whose names are even edited in the prologue. In 2014, the game was re-released on Steam with an updated opening scene and ending. And as of October of 2023, the game was updated to celebrate its 10th anniversary, along with the announcement of a sequel titled S, Lost Chapters, which aims for a 2026 release according to Steam. So what is Slender the Arrival about? Who is CR? Who is Charles Matheson Jr.? Why is Slenderman targeting CR and Kate? All these questions will be answered as we explore key points of the story. So grab some popcorn, turn off the lights, and let's dive into Slender the Arrival. Before we move any further, I just want to mention that I will not be covering events that happened on the 10th anniversary update, since there is new content on the way. However, when these new chapters are released, I will cover them in a separate video. Thank you, and let's move on. Our story begins with our main character, Lauren. She's on her way to her friend Kate's house when she accidentally stumbles upon a path that is currently blocked by a fallen tree branch. Seeing the obstruction, she decides to travel on foot. As she walks, Lauren notices another person's car, thinking if someone was there before her. Lauren eventually reaches Kate's house, but upon entering, Lauren is struck by silence. Not only is Kate nowhere to be found, but the house seems to be empty. Determined to find her friend, Lauren explores the house until she reaches Kate's bedroom. There, she stumbles upon unsettling drawings of a slender figure plastered across the walls. Among the sketches, she finds a note instructing her to go to the radio tower. Just as she processes the strange message, a blood-curdling scream echoes outside of the house. Lauren resolves to trace the origin of the scream, and at one point encounters a house that has been consumed by fire along her journey. Upon entering the structure, she is met with unsettling sounds and the cries of a child. She then perceives what appears to be a child, albeit in a zombified state. As Lauren approaches, the figure attacks her and subsequently vanishes. Leaving the house, she then discovers the entrance to Oakside Park, entirely unaware that someone is observing her. Inside Oakside Park, Lauren investigates and soon stumbles upon a note. She continues to uncover additional notes that may be associated with Kate's disappearance. However, with each discovery, the entity known as Slenderman seems to intensify its pursuit of her, particularly as she retrieves the final note. Believing herself to be safe, Lauren narrowly escapes an attempt on her life by Slenderman, but ultimately, her camera eventually dies. Lauren awakens, retrieves her camera, and eventually discovers an entrance to a coal mine. Upon entering, she quickly encounters a message instructing her to utilize the elevator to access the radio tower. However, a significant obstacle presents itself. The coal mine had ceased operations some time ago, resulting in a power shutdown. Consequently, Lauren is tasked with locating all the generators to activate the elevator. This endeavor proves increasingly challenging, as while she searches for and activates these generators, an entity is pursuing her. Not only is Slenderman chasing her, but it's something much worse. After successfully locating all the generators, Lauren rushes to the elevator, activates it, and ultimately escapes. Following her escape, Lauren proceeds towards the radio tower. However, her journey is interrupted by an abandoned teddy bear that belongs to Charlie. Upon examining the bear, Lauren experiences a memory that does not belong to her, but rather to Charlie. In this recollection, Charlie's mother informs him that lunch is ready. He notices a glimmering object and retrieves it. As the audience begins to understand, this memory pertains to Charlie Matheson Jr., the individual depicted in the missing child's poster. This connection is established as Charlie exhibits fear upon realizing he's being pursued by Slender Man. Ultimately, when Slender Man captures him, the sound of his father's desperate cries for his name is heard, subsequently transitioning back to Lauren. Lauren continues her quest to locate the radio tower and encounters a building containing 2 videotapes. One tape is associated with CR, with whom we have been compiling notes concerning both him and CR's relationship, which I will clarify later. The second tape belongs to Kate. In her recording, Kate is writing notes but soon perceives the presence of Slender Man nearby. Consequently, she must secure all windows and doors to prevent his intrusion. Though Kate successfully takes these precautions, Slender Man manages to enter through teleportation. Kate then seeks refuge in her room, where she is ultimately ambushed by Slender Man, prompting her to throw her camera at the window, which accounts for the shattered glass observed by Lauren upon entering her room in prologue. In CR's tape, he investigates the disappearance of Charlie Matheson at an abandoned farm previously owned by Frida Matheson, his ancestor. During his investigation, CR uncovers a connection between Kate and the Matheson family, evident from her last name, Hayes. This connection is substantiated when CR discovers a photograph depicting the Matheson and Hayes families, with Slender Man lurking in the background. Not only does CR reveal Kate's association with the Matheson family, but he also learns that Frida, the former landowner of the place, was responsible for summoning Slender Man, which initiated a series of events culminating in Frida's suicide and the death of nearly all her family members. Remember this for later. CR investigates the farm and discovers a deactivated silo that has been remained unoperational for an extended period. He is tasked with locating fuel for the generator, which is situated in a nearby cellar, outside of the field. However, while searching for the fuel in the cellar, he becomes aware that he is being followed by a previously encountered figure, the same entity that attacked Lauren in the prologue. Upon securing the fuel and departing, CR senses that he's being pursued until he returns to the silo to power it on. Upon reaching the far side of the building, he locates a key that grants access to a small church. He proceeds directly to the church. However, when he returns to the entrance of the silo, he discovers it has already turned to night. This raises the question of whether or not Slender Man had intervened in some manner. As he approaches the church, he is again chased, this time with the creature clearly in pursuit until CR arrives at the church. Upon entering, the door closes behind him and he turns to find Slender Man present. The figure vanishes and the entrance is locked. CR then observes children's toys, and upon picking one up, he hears a scream from outside, reminiscent of Charlie Matheson Jr.'s scream. Suddenly, the pursuing creature breaches the church, attempting to chase CR and begins to scream as the door shuts behind him. It becomes evident at this point that the entity tailing CR is indeed Charlie Matheson Jr., who has undergone a horrifying transformation. CR discovers a path leading to the rear of the Matheson family residence, and while exploring the attic, he finds numerous notes, one of which indicates that Frida Matheson admonished her children against playing outside doors without supervision. CR locates the door to the attic and descends, but abruptly, Charlie bursts in and pursues CR, resulting in CR dropping his camera, and the tape ends there, as he hears Charlie's demonic growls. Disturbed by her recent experience, Lauren resolves to proceed to the radio tower. In her journey, she discovers a cave. Upon entry, she observes that the route to the radio tower has been ignited. As Lauren is relentlessly pursued by Slender Man, she ultimately arrives at the radio tower. While investigating the premises, her flashlight eventually dies. At the conclusion of her exploration, she encounters a deceased individual, identified as CR, and views footage from his camera. Please take a moment to listen.
Kate, please. I can't. There's no other way. I can't. Kate. Oh God, no. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. I'm so sorry.
Unexpectedly, Lauren is ambushed by Charlie and regains consciousness at the charred residence from the prologue. As she navigates the location, she perceives the sound of a woman weeping. Following the sound, she discovers the source to be Kate. However, an unsettling feeling arises. Upon approaching Kate, she suddenly transforms into the Chaser from the Into the Abyss level and fatally attacks Lauren, disclosing that Kate has also become a proxy. The camera reactivates, showing only Lauren being dragged away. But as Lauren is being dragged away, her camera footage fades to black, concluding the story of Slender The Arrival. So what did we learn about the events leading up to Lauren's arrival? Let's start with what we know. The first thing we understand is that Frida Matheson was indirectly responsible for much of what happens in the story. This is evident from a letter she wrote expressing her regret for bringing the creature into her life. After she lost her children to the entity, she decided to burn down her house, taking her own life along with everyone in her family. However, we later discover that the Matheson bloodline somehow survived, as a new family member eventually had a son named Charles Matheson Jr. This raises the question of whether Frida's sacrifice was in vain, as Charles Matheson's life spiraled out of control after the loss of his own son, Charlie Matheson Jr., who has now been transformed into a proxy after some time. Then we have the story of CR and Kate, which is told if you found all the notes scattered throughout the game. The story of CR and Kate unfolds through a series of letters addressed to Kate, revealing that CR had been experiencing strange hallucinations for some time. It is important to note that Kate's mother had recently passed away, and Kate has been trying to sell her childhood home since then. Since her mother's death, both Kate and CR have begun to recollect memories of a traumatic event from their childhood. Eventually, they decide to confront this traumatic event, but their encounter takes a sinister turn when they are attacked by Slender Man, leading to their separation. Now, it's from this point in the story that we learn that Kate has been revealed to be the playable character from the original game, Slender The 8 Pages. This is evident from Slender Man's remarks when he captures her, or when you successfully complete the level Genesis, which is a remake of Slender The 8 Pages. We then learn that Kate is also connected to the Hayes family, who has several ties to the Matheson family, as both she and her mother share the same last name, Hayes. If you have played the level Homestead, you will find a photo that depicts the Matheson and Hayes family together, with Slender Man appearing in the background. The last thing we learn is that Kate is the Chaser from the level Into the Abyss. The story goes is that after CR investigates the Matheson family farm, he informs Kate of a solution to their problem. They meet at the radio tower where CR reveals his plan. However, Kate disagrees with it and runs away, which ultimately leads to Ciara's demise in a fire. If you listen closely to the background of Ciara's screams, you can hear Kate giggle. Later, Kate's mental health begins to decline dramatically, which becomes evident as she begins to draw chaotic scribbles. She suddenly realizes that Slender Man is trying to break in, and despite her best efforts to stop him, Slender Man manages to break in, forcing Kate to hide in her room. However, Slender Man ambushes her, leading to Kate to throw herself out the window in an attempt to escape. Unfortunately, her efforts are in vain, as she is captured by Slender Man and is ultimately converted into a proxy known as the Chaser. And thus begins Lauren's story. But we all know how her story ends. Thanks for watching.